Welcome back, everyone. In today's video, we're going to be working in this area right here. We're going to be focusing on from this point here, the edge of the bridge, all the way over to the tunnel portal. Now that's a big section for one video, so I don't know if we'll get it all completed, but I definitely want to focus on getting some work done in this area. Now I have a pretty clear vision in my mind of what this area is going to look like when it's completely finished. So it's a matter of working backwards and figuring out in what order I need to do things. The first thing we're going to have to do is remove buildings and trees. All right, let's get to it. Before I move any buildings, I like to take photos so I know exactly where I had the buildings placed. It's important to recognize when you're taking the photos, placement of certain buildings, like how close it is to the edge. Straight down always helps. Okay, now we can start moving buildings. So I took 15 photos on my phone, but I'm also going to make some marks with a black Sharpie to where these structures go. Okay, everything is moved. I did take the black Sharpie and just did a quick outline, really just the corners of where those two big buildings go back there. Now you may have noticed this here. This is brick and it's wood. And I want to put some patches in here to look like at one time maybe this stretch through here was all brick and they put asphalt or covered it with something. So we'll be putting in some patches. I'll show you quick. And these are they're just wall sections from Monster Model Works. I think that's what it is. What else? Okay, the first thing we need to do is there's two tracks. One curves, one goes straight. We need to cut away the rock so that that track, it curves and it makes a big loop up here and it comes back and connects with this track. That's going to be a very big project, making these steel girder arches. That'll all be laser cut. But again, we need to cut this out so that the track can go through there. So let's mark that and get that cut out. Okay, I've got it all cut out. I just used this saw and leveled it. So you can see how it sort of raised up. And then I cut that away. All right, now I'll take my shop vac and vacuum all this up. Okay, I've got the roads drawn on with a Sharpie. It did take me a couple times, so it got a little confusing over here. But I've got it figured out, and you'll notice I taped down some strip wood. Now it's a 1/16 of an inch thick, and we're going to spread our asphalt right up to that wood and have it level. And then the rest of it gets filled in with styrofoam that we're going to cut and sand so that it fits perfectly. So this entire section through here will be styrofoam, and then right through here. Okay, next we're gonna tape off the actual roads. Now you'll notice there's sidewalks that get put in here, and I'll show you that later. Okay, we've got the road entirely masked. Now we'll just spread on the asphalt. Well, as you can see, the road is all completed. Now, I did something different on this, and I used grout. I bought this at Home Depot. That is the color of it right there, and so as you can see, it's pretty dark. Now this takes very little water. So this is powder in here, and the powder probably goes to somewhere right around here. Then they say to add water right to that ridge right there. So you can see it only takes that much water to that much grout mix. Very little water. Now, what I did was I put half of that in a cup, and I added too much water. So what I did was I used 2 big scoops of plaster, and that white powder really lightened it. Now I also added probably two tablespoons of white acrylic paint to lighten it even more. Now I didn't realize that when this dries, it actually lightens. So it might be a tad too light now. It's not bad, but once I cut my styrofoam and get this all filled in and get this section filled in, I'll probably paint the entire road so that it matches the road here. It's pretty close right now though. The grout has a really nice texture to it, and you can see you can start to carve cracks in it before it completely dries. The texture really matches what I've already got here. So I've left room for the sidewalks, and again, these sidewalks are sold on my website at jasonjensentrains.com. And these will get painted and glued in place, and then there is a cap or a trim, as you can see here. We'll put that trim all along here. So again, we'll have to paint the sidewalks and get them glued in place, and then I'll have to cut some more for down here. What's great about this is that you can spray water on it before it completely dries and smooth it out. You can add cracks with an X-Acto blade. Just make sure that you have everything around where you're going to put this completely covered. This is basically like working with concrete. If it gets on stuff, it's either going to be hard to get off or it's going to stain. Just be careful with it. And when this dries, it is rock hard. There's no carving into it or doing anything else with it. It dries like cement would dry. You may have noticed I forgot to put the brick in before I smeared the grout over it. So we'll have to do that somewhere else on the layout. I just got the track all glued in place, and I used Loctite. So I just simply pick the track up, run a thin bead along there. Then I take this, any spatula, and I still have the track raised up, and I smear it out. Thin layer. Then I just press my track down in it. Now I did have a black Sharpie line for a guideline, so I knew right where to glue it. Okay, next we'll start to ballast it. I did want to mention that I painted all of my track over at the workbench, and I also painted the side of the rails with a rust color. Okay, now this is what we're using. Now I used to always mix it, pre-mix it, and just do half and half, but well, I prefer to do where I lay down the thicker stuff first, the medium ballast. Spread that and then go over with a thin coat of the fine ballast. Now, I know on the other side of the layout, I airbrushed. After I had my track glued in place, I took my airbrush and did probably, I think, 3 different wood colors and just airbrushed the ties, and then went along with a brush and painted the side of the rails. So you can do it that way too. The first thing I'm going to do is going to take white Elmer's glue and smear it all along the side where I want the ballast. Now don't get too far ahead of yourself. Then we'll just kind of smooth it out a little bit. And we don't want to go in the area where we're going to put the styrofoam. Now the next step is to take a clean brush and go all along it. You don't want any ballast on the ties. And then we're doing the sides too. Now we'll take the fine ballast and focus on just going down the center, filling in any little holes. You don't have to do a solid coverage, just here and there, just to sort of even it out. Now again, the first one we used was the medium. And like I said, we're going to focus mainly on the center. And don't worry if there's still some holes after you get it smoothed out. You can fill that in with weeds, with dirt. We'll actually use real dirt. And through here, there's some big industrial buildings, and trains stop right here. So we're going to sprinkle on some real dirt through here. Notice I'm using the side of my brush. Okay, now we're taking some real dirt. There's some little weeds in there. Finely sifted real dirt. I don't bake it, dry it, anything. Now go over it one more time with your brush and make sure it's exactly how you want it. Because the next thing we're going to do is spray this with alcohol, denatured alcohol, and then with a water glue mix. It might be 50-50. Soak this all with watered down glue, and the alcohol is going to make it so that it soaks in to the ballast. Without the alcohol, that glue will just bead up on top and not soak in. So it's very important to spray it and have it soaked very well and glue it all in place. Okay, so take your alcohol and spray it and soak it. Don't be afraid to really soak it. And I'm just doing, I don't know, a 12-inch section. Good and wet. Half water, half glue. Might be a little bit more water than glue. And that's it. You can soak it some more if you want. Okay, everything is dry. I have been going in with pastel chalk, paints, just creating washes with acrylic paint and water. And I've been adding some pastel chalk to the rails, a little bit of dirt down the center. Okay, I've got more cracks and dirt to add, but I'm going to take a break from that, and the next thing I'm going to do is work on the sidewalks. We first need to get them all cut to size, to length, and then we'll number each piece so that we know where it goes. Then we'll take them over to the workbench and paint them and weather them. Okay, I sprayed a gray primer on our sidewalks. And again, the sidewalks are available on my website. So you get 4 strips and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 corners. And they are 8 1/4 long. Okay, now we're going to paint these. And we're using slate gray and desert sand. Half and half. Now we have quite a bit of sidewalk to paint, so I'm going to mix a good amount. Now it's completely up to you. If you want them more gray, just simply add more gray. If you want them lighter, add a little bit more of the desert sand. Okay, I'm just taking a scrap piece of paper and laying it down. We'll quick go over them and let them dry a little bit, and then we'll go back, add a little bit more. Well, actually, we can bring our pastels over and do some weathering on them. Okay, now I'm actually painting in some cracks. Now you can cut them in with an X-Acto blade, or I'm using a number 1 brush, and I used some bittersweet chocolate, and now I'm using, it's a dark gray, it's actually a wrought iron from Folk Art, but any dark gray really. And I've got some water in here. And you just want to roll your brush as you drag it out so it's a very fine point. You just want to twist and turn it as you're painting. Okay, I've got all the sidewalk sections sitting there. Now we'll just simply get them glued in place. And again, I'm going to use Loctite. Okay, here's what it looks like so far. I still have to cut a piece that fits in here, and then that trim will go right there. It'll be fun to get these fall trees put back in place, and then once the ground cover is all in, a lot of this will be covered in leaves. All right, that's all we have time for today, but I am extremely excited about how this is turning out. I'm really looking forward to getting the ground cover in here and the fall trees put back in place so that we can get lots of leaves glued down. All right, thank you all so much for watching. I truly, truly appreciate it. And until next time, stay motivated and happy modeling, everyone.